Impact Gamers tutorial for Clickteam Fusion 2.5 free edition, and we're continuing making a one-click game. This is the second session. If you've missed out on the first one, then just have a look on YouTube and find it. So we're going to carry on where we left off and open up our game. So here it is. We had a red intro screen, a yellow game screen, and a green end screen, and that's all we had, and we clicked to cycle through it. So if I run the application, it would cycle through like that. So we're going to concentrate on the game and make a very quick one-click game. In our game, we're going to have a item that goes from one side of the screen to the other, and a central line, and you have to click when the item is in the central line to destroy it. So the game will end either if you click and there's no item on the central line, or if the item goes from one side to the other without you getting it. Well, hopefully you'll understand as we go along. So first of all, we're going to insert a new object. Everything we add into our frame is an object, and it's going to be active because it moves, and we click to drop it down, and it always starts off as this diamond. We're going to rename it, lots of ways to do this, but I'm going to just click on the properties window, about, and call this ball. Going to insert another active object, put it down. This is going to be our bar, so I'll call it bar while this is open. And to change the way it looks, lots of different ways. You can double click on it, right click and edit, or you can just press enter, whatever takes your fancy. I'm just going to fill this in as a red. So I've got the rectangle tool filled in, and I'd already chosen a red earlier, and I've just filled it in red. Now I'm going to resize that. The easiest way is when you have these dots on it. If you don't have the dots on it, click to select it, wait, and then click again. Double clicking will edit it, and you can resize it. So I'm just going to make a bar across the whole screen here. If it's too far zoomed in, here you can change your zoom, or here view and zoom, to set the screen size so you can see what you're doing. Right, there we go. There's my bar. There's my ball. I need to make my ball move, and so that's a property, and it's the running man movement, and I'm going to change it to just a normal bouncing ball. So it's always going to start off on this side in this position, so I want it to bounce upwards or downwards, not straight across. That might be a bit difficult. So on the initial direction, I click on these numbers and this kind of, I don't know, bulk of arrows, and I want to reset them, and I want it to go any of those directions would be fine. Maybe if I was feeling dangerous, a bit close to straight on, but that's fine. And there we go. And if I run my application and click, off it goes, slightly squished due to the sizing of the game. There we go, and off it goes across the screen. So we want it to bounce at the top and the bottom, and that's the events. That's how we code rules in Clickteam Fusion. It's called the event editor. So if I click on that, we've currently got one. User clicks the left button, go to the next frame. I'm going to right click on the number 1 and delete that condition. I'm going to get rid of the condition and the event. It's all gone. I'm going to start from scratch, a new condition. If the ball position, we want to test the position of it. If it hits the bottom or the top, if it tries to leave the bottom or the top, rather, we want to go along underneath ball, right click, movement, bounce. And remember to right click. If you double click, you end up in the event list editor, and you need to click back on the event editor. So right click for a tick. So now we just run the frame, so I don't have to click through. Off it goes and bounces. Brilliant. That's all well and good, but we want to end the game if we don't manage to destroy it. So a new condition here, that if the ball's position, test the position, if it goes off on the right, then under, like we did before the storyboard, we'll just go to the next frame, which is our end of game. So here we go. We run our frame. It'll quit when it does it because we're only running the frame. Oop, it's got trapped. Ha ha ha. Well, that'll be all well and good if that managed to do that. I think you've got some options of security and randomness here. I'm going to take the randomizer down a bit, and that should help, and the security. I took that down. I'm not sure what that'll do. You can research that yourself. There we go. One side to the other, and it quits. There we go. Right. Okay. So what we want is the it to be destroyed. If we click and it's overlapping the bar, so a new condition. And we'll do the click first because that's what Clickteam will care about. It'll trigger it first. If the user clicks, left button, single click, that's fine. Then we want to destroy. Now, that's not the full condition, but I'm just going to test this out. If we run the frame, click and it's destroyed, good. Now we want to insert onto this condition another condition, so they both have to be true. So user clicks left button, we right click on the words, we're going to insert the fact that the ball collision is overlapping the bar. And now it will just only reference ones that are overlapping the bar. So if I run the application, there we go, I destroyed it. Not that you could see because it's underneath, but if I try again and just run the frame this time and click at the beginning, yeah, not until it hits the bar is it destroyed when I'm clicking. Another new condition to make it fairer, a new condition is that when we click, the mouse user clicks, and exactly the same rule, the ball is overlapping the bar. We want to negate that, meaning it's not doing it. So if we right click on the words is overlapping and choose negate. Now if we click and when there's no ball overlapping the bar, then we want to go to the next frame. So if we run the frame, there we go, I've destroyed it, did that wrong, I should have. Let's run the frame again. There we go, it goes to the next frame. Great, now we want more balls to appear over time. The easiest way to do that is go back to our frame editor, because we want it to get harder over time, and we want to insert a new object. We're going to have a counter, and this counter is going to be a number showing how difficult it is. I'm going to put it in the frame so we can see it, but I could put it outside of the frame, probably this side, because it grows to the left, or I could change the counter's properties to make it a, rather than a number counter, I can make it a hidden counter there, so we can't see it. But for the moment, we're going to see it, and we're just going to start off it at initial value of 1. And this counter, let's name it, I'll do it a different way this time. I'll right click and rename. I'm going to call this difficulty. I'm not difficulty, there we go. And back in the event editor, we're going to have a new condition that on the time, every 100th of a second, so let's go to 0, 1, 0, 0, 0, 1, 100th. Every 100th of a second, we're going to create one of these balls, and we'll create it, just drag this target here to the center, there we go. We're going to create one. So that's going to be crazy, that's just going to create them all the time. So if we run that, not much chance of managing to survive there. So we want to insert about the chance, and we're going to use a special condition here, special, and we're going to have a chance out of a chance. So we're going to use the number of chances. We're going to say we're going to use the current value of difficulty out of 1,000. So every 1 out of 1,000 times is equivalent to rolling a dice with 1,000 faces, and you get the number you want, then it's going to create one. So if we go back to our frame, we're actually going to delete this, don't want it anymore because it'll be created in the game. And now if we just wait, and we might have to wait 10 seconds for the first one, or we might have to wait no time at all, but just wait, patiently waiting. There we go, there's the first one, and destroy it. To make it a little bit more exciting, increase the difficulty, new condition, we're going to use the timer to do it, and every second, we'll leave it on 1 second there, every second we're going to right click under difficulty and add to the counter 1, so that the difficulty will go up. If we run the frame, we can watch the difficulty go up every second, you can see it going up, so it gets more and more likely that one of those balls will be created. Great, there we go. It's going to be a hard one now. My word. And I clicked when there wasn't any then, so it was game over. I think that the balls move too quickly, so I'm just going to click on them here. I could do it in the frame editor and click on them here. Well, I can't actually click on them there we go, or click on them there. Either will load up the same thing, and just change the speed to be a bit slower. And so I'm going to set the speed to 20. There we go. Run the frame, test it out. Wait for them to appear. There we go. This feels a bit more like I have a chance. There we go. Can see them coming. Great. So we need to add a score to this. So I'm going to add in the frame editor. Sorry, go back there. I'm going to insert a new object. I'm going to insert a counter. Now this will count the current score, and if I wait and then click on it, I can get the resizing nice and big. But I also want to insert a score object. Now scores are special because the Clickteam Fusion remembers them between each frame. So let's add that, and we're going to double click on it to change its color. So I've already got this selected from earlier when I've done it. Click on A and then click on a color you want. Blue's fine. Font, and then Tahoma size 16 maybe. There we go. Or import font, even better. Tahoma bold size. There we go. Import font. I should have clicked. There we go. And I'll move this to here. So now every time that we get rid of one, user clicks and it overlaps, I'm going to right click underneath the counter and add counter 1. There we go. And if we run the frame, let's wait for it. Here we go. Dun 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 dun. 1 point, 2 points, 3 points, 4 points. Do you see I got 2 at once but only counted as 1 point? Now you could do something different to sort that out, but I'm going to leave that for the moment. Now if we want to add to the score, score is held underneath the player 1. If we right click here, we haven't got any options of changing the score, but if we right click on player 1, we can change the score, and the score is set to player 1 by default. So I want to say new condition always, so special, always, and right click underneath player 1, score, set the score to whatever this counter is, current value, and we will name it because that's better. So I'll do it a different way to before. F2, did I do F2 before? Probably not. And we will call it score, and we will call this one, oops, high score. Okay, now we're pretty much done, because in the end of the game I can drag a high score here, and like I said before, it'll remember it from before. And oh yeah, let's do that. Let's import the font but make it bigger. And then on the intro also we'll drag, I'm just dragging from other frames to, oh that's tiny and looks quite hideous. Let's make it a little bit bigger. And so we've got a high score there. Now I've just realised that the high score is going to get reset. If we run our application, it's going to start off at 0, player application, wait for it, let's score a score. Oh, the slowest in the world. Here we go. Feel free to make a cup of tea while you wait for these balls to come along on diamonds. Here we go, and there we go, and that's gone up. And I click. There we go. I've got a high score of 2. High score of 2. But if I do this, it's reset the high score to 0. So what I should have done in my game, go to its event editor, its specific one. I'm not going to say always. I'm going to replace that and say if the score, if I compare it, if it's greater. If score is greater than player 1's score, so if this counter is bigger than player 1's score, then we'll set it. And if we run our application, it means that I can then wait for it. That's going to be a bit quicker. Here we go. Click destroyed. Click destroyed. So we've got 2. I'm happy with that. I'll die. 2, 2, and it's still on 2. Fantastic. Great. So we'll save that file. Save as. I'm going to save it with a 2 at the end, and you can come back to that next time. Okay, hope that's helpful, and try making that 1 button game.